is a Fujifilm super zoom camera from 2014 with a small sensor worth anything today? Let's have a look. Welcome back to my channel. This time I'll be reviewing the Fujifilm Finepix S1 camera. If you didn't see my trip report from Annapurna Basecamp trip, where I used this camera and took some amazing images, you can see it up here. But this time I'll be doing a real review of this camera and telling you a little more specific about this camera, and also doing some small comparisons to my Sony RX10 IV, which I have purchased not recently, but not that long ago. This camera I have owned since 2014 and I'm very happy about it. But of course it's a small sensor, it's not a modern construction, so it does have its flaws. But let's have a look at it. So first of all, let's look at how small this sensor actually is compared to my Sony RX10 IV, which is a 1-inch sensor. It's 1/4 the area of that sensor, or actually less than that. And if we compare to even larger formats like 4/3, it's even very much smaller, an APS-C. But if we go to full frame, there's a huge difference. And if we go to the extreme, the medium format from my Hasselblad X series cameras, there's a big difference. I think it's about 1/40th of the size. And we can also see that in the crop factors, where it takes a huge step from 1 inch to this sensor size. But let's delve a little into the comparison with the Sony RX10 IV, which I'll do a review of by a later point. It has a sensor that only has 16 megapixels compared to the 20 megapixel. And the isolation range is actually the same, but the images are more clean on the Sony. But it also has advantages. The zoom range is 1200 millimeters compared to 600, and it has sensor shift stabilization, which works pretty well. So that's very nice. And the LCD is fully articulated, which it isn't in the Sony camera. So that's also a big advantage. And of course, the weight is lower than this camera. It's not nearly half, but it's very much lower. But the Sony is better with regard to almost anything else. And of course it's a large sensor, and it's also a newer construction, so it should also be much better. But let's look at this camera. The main feature of a super zoom camera is of course a super zoom. And this one has, as it says on the side here, 50 times zoom. So you can zoom it all the way out to 1200 millimeters from its wide angle at 24 millimeters. That's a really extreme zoom. A small feature on this camera is that it has this zoom out button. So if you are zoomed into 1200 millimeters, you might lose your subject, but then you press here and it zooms a bit out and you can find your subject. And when you let go of it, it zooms in back to the focal length that you had set before. The camera has a fully flippable screen, so you can take it out here. You can also turn it to use it to make vlogging. That's a good thing, but then the bad thing about it is that it doesn't have any microphone input, so you have to rely on the built-in microphone, and that's not very good. At least if you're using it outdoors, you will have wind noise on it, but it's okay sound if you use it indoors. It has a small pop-up flash, so you can use it as a fill light in portraits. Just have a slight light in the eyes of your subject. So what do I like about this camera? Well, of course, the huge zoom range is very nice. And I also like this small button that can zoom out a bit if you've lost your subject. And when you release it again, you're into what you zoom you had set it to. That's a nice feature. And it's a reasonably fast autofocus. And as I showed you shortly, the time-lapse ability, and that's actually quite good, and you can use it whatever zoom range you are at. I also like the fully articulated screen and the okay HD quality. It doesn't have 4K, but it's good full HD. And the image stabilization is quite nice. And the lightweight of the camera is of course a very good thing. But it has some downsides, and the ISO settings are maybe not limited, but they're limited because the higher ISO ranges, the higher part of the ISO range is not very good. And you have pixelation in images sometimes, especially at wide angle for some peculiar reason. And it's not a fast camera to operate or start. It takes a while. It has bad performance in low light, of course. It's due to the small sensor. It's the thing of small sensors, and the lack of a microphone port. I think that's a big miss, because if you do full HD, you would like to put a microphone on top of the camera. So I hope you liked my review of the Fujifilm Finepix S1 super zoom camera. Capable of doing 24mm to 1200mm in one camera without changing a lens. I find that this camera is much better than anticipated, and if you saw my Annapurna video where I used this camera solely, I found that the images from that trip is quite amazing. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and also hit the like button. Thank you very much for this time, and bye for now.